Welcome everyone to Nuggets for a Successful Life with Coach Aniekan and Team LTS. It's your man, Coach Aniekan, and I'm heard away from Lekki in Lagos, Nigeria. It's been kind of good weather. It's been wonderful. So I want to say thank you and tell us where you're calling in from. I see an Oluwakayode. Hello, sir. How is this, sir? Oh, that's what I think it is. That sounds like my Alagba. I see Coach Natalia, and I've been speaking with my friend Prof, who has sent the number to his wrong number. Now, last week there was something that happened, and I know the ladies took a bit of time, so I'm going to kick it off today. Now, Prof, I don't know what your take away was from last Sunday. What was it for you like? I don't know. So maybe I want to kick off there. Let's start talking. Before they put us on the hot seat, let's prepare the seat first so that we can kind of temper it a bit. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, it was interesting. The ladies had some questions. There was a question that came across as very passion-filled. There was a lady that asked a question that seemed it was something somebody close to her was experiencing that involved abuse, which went beyond the thing. So what I see is that women need an outlet to talk where they're not being judged. That was what I summed up from the experience last week Sunday, because you could see how excited they were at being able to throw out questions that more than likely in the past they probably were only able to discuss things like that amongst themselves or their friends or their sisters or stuff like that. While being able to ask those questions of men to get the men's perspective without being judged, I think that was a very, very beautiful thing for them to have been involved in.
Well, I see Pastor Benjamin has joined us as well. Welcome, Pastor Benjamin. I was asking Prof about last week and what his take home was. What's his perspective? Because I know that it's the women wanting to put us on the hot seat, but just like we said last week, what you're looking to us for really is more of support, not of validation. You don't need us to validate you. You don't need us to affirm you. You need us to cheer you. You need us to support you. You need us to encourage you, so that if it doesn't come from us, it will come from somewhere else. I think that's where sometimes we kind of miss it, and we think that I need someone else. I need something else to complete myself. No, you are complete in yourself. Some things, as I said last week, you need to rediscover. You need to kind of chip up the dust, chip up the unbelief, the doubt, the things that have been kind of holding you back, so that you can be your full self. And I thought to myself, before we are put on the hot seat, let's kind of prepare the hot seat so that the seat can be less hot for us. Now, Coach Natalia, I see you laughing and I feel you, but what's your take away from last week?
So thank you very much, Coach Aniekan. Good evening, everyone. So last week, my takeaway was be yourself. You don't need to be told what to do, but do what you're supposed to do. And be yourself, know what the man wants, and just play, just let it play, just let it flow. So that there's so much about you as a woman, and you need to tap into it. That was my takeaway.
All right, so let me put you on the spot. What does that mean for the woman? What does that mean? What does that mean? How will the woman put that to play? I see Ngozi is on the call as well. I see the people on the call as well. So please feel free to butt in here. How does that feel when you think of the fact that you want to be free to decide to do a few things? What does that mean?
Okay, so for me, being able to do what you want, it's lovely. I mean, it brings this freedom, it brings this confidence. But in doing it, you have to remember that you're in partnership with someone, and it's important that you understand the person, your partner, so that even in living out your dreams and being yourself, you also respect and appreciate, the parts the person plays in your life as well. So it's okay to be yourself, but in doing that, also make room for the other person, so the person feels carried along, and that's it. Thank you.
Any other lady that wants to kind of pitch in here? I know it was supposed to be a hot seat, but it seems the seat is turning hot the other way. So any other lady that wants to pitch in here, please let me hear your voice. And if you can't talk because of where you are is noisy, you can go ahead and use the chat. I have my eyes all glued there. Okay, I see that Coach Tosis in the house.
So, Coach, I hope we're not putting the women on the hot seat indirectly.
Well, right now it seems that there's an open hot seat. And everyone seems, like I seem to be enjoying the fact that I can ask the questions, and the questions are going, they are going well. I like that. So I don't call it a hot seat anymore. I'm going to call it more of a conversation, because I want to understand if the things that we shared last week, I mean, how do you put them? Listen, in life, it's easy to say, hey, do this or do that, or don't do this or don't do that. But to put that into practice is where the crux really is. How do you practice that? How do you do that? How do you put that to play? That's what I want us to kind of look at today. And if we do that, then I think that we will, as a group, have at least accomplished that one thing. So you know what to do. How do I do that? So when you say women should, take charge, take control, how do we implement that? How do we put that to play? Oh, and I see other women logging in. Please feel free.
Are you asking the women how?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. It's the women affair right now.
Okay, so for me, I think it begins with the woman, knowing, understanding her purpose, and understanding how, her makeup, so to say, because it's not just about being a woman. It's not just being it's not about being the female adult, really, but it goes beyond that. There's a lot of things, a lot of factors that come to play. Your background, your upbringing, the people you've been exposed to, with family, with friends, people you interact with, the environment as a whole. And all of this make up the woman, and then her dreams as well, what she wants. So all of this come to play. She may have a dream and all of that, but let me see from the legal angle now. They'll tell you where your rights ends, your responsibility begins. In other words, if you claim that you have a right, you also have a corresponding responsibility to respect the other person's rights as well. So it's not just about saying I have a right, but also knowing that you have a duty not to infringe upon the rights of another person. So bringing that, as a woman, there's a whole lot of factors that comes into play, and that forms, who and shapes who the woman really is. And so that's why it's important that the woman identifies what her purpose is. She needs to understand her purpose. That's how I say it. Then if the woman understands all of this, she's able to leave her that responsibility. She understands what she's supposed to do, when to do it, and when not to do it. That's it basically for me.
Wow. And now for the ladies, how does that sound? Because I'm hearing a few things about the fact that even though you have a right, I used to know that in physics, it says to every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, which means when you set one thing in motion, there is already a back to that you're setting in motion. Now, if you know your rights because I know that we can swing this pendulum anyway, whether we're looking at the woman or we're looking at the man, it's possible that they could be abused in any level. Let me hear from the women. I mean, how are you exercising your rights as a woman?
Hello?
Hi, we're here. We go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Talking about your right, I want to. It might sound a bit different from what but anyway, we'll arrive at the same point. Talking about the rights of women, one of the things that I see women, because I've worked with women a lot, that when you talk about their rights, most of us overstep the bound, go beyond our boundaries. You see women, when you talk about the rights, oh, I have the right to do this, I have to do right to do that. Yes, we do. But when I see some of us, let me leave, okay, maybe we are earning more than your husband, your spouse, and you feel that, okay, I can take some steps without telling my husband, I have the right to do this. And you find out, you have the right to do that without your husband's consent. I'm not saying he needs to really do that, but you need to carry them along. You can't do that. That's why we are helpmates. Most of all the women, I want us to, I think this is a wake-up call for us to look at some things that last week we were asking the virtuous woman. I want to believe all of us know who a virtuous woman is. Sometimes we want people to really tell us what we know, or to emphasize on that these are the things, these are the qualities of a virtuous woman. So sometimes we do that, we hold on to that. That's this feminist kind of thing comes in. I earn more than my husband. Then I have the right to do some things. Even if you don't earn more than your husband, we have the right to do something, because they said, okay, woman, it's a woman's world, so we can do some things. I found out that I don't know, I'm not saying that all women does that, but a lot of women that I've seen, and I'm sorry to say that I end up being a single parent these days. We want to, men, you can't talk down a man, the ego of a man, you have to rub it. I'm not saying when they are doing things wrong, we need to take it. You can talk to your husband, you can talk to your spouse, your boyfriend, whoever it is to you, you can talk to them. But when it comes to my rights, I am saying it is good, but carry whoever it is that you call your partner, carry them along. They guide us. We can help each other. But sometimes we make some of these decisions, and we find out that we still come back to come meet them. Oh, dear, do you know I did something like this? What do you think of it when we have done that? So I think some of these things, we need to look at them properly and not just think that, oh, my partner, I can just, no, I can do that. I have the right. Yes, you do. But please, I'm talking to women now. Please, let's carry our partner along. We are helpmates. Let's do that. Let's not look at what, yes, I'm being respectful. When you call about, submissive, it's not about leaning down, carrying water in your hand. And submissiveness is like when something is not comfortable, you're not comfortable, it's not comfortable with you. You still have to come. Dear, I want to do something like this. Can we rub minds together? Can we do this together? So those are the things I want us to look into, and not just feel that, okay, I have the right, so I can just do them, take the decision by myself without carrying my husband along. It's not really fair on the men. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. You talked about robbing the ego of the man, which is what he really likes. I think Giselle stepped in as well. Pastor Benjamin, I know this is something that we were talking about last week. If we look at it from the Bible perspective, it didn't say husbands tell your wife how to. It didn't say wives tell your husband how to. So a lot of times he's saying, husbands address your issues. This is what you should do. And sometimes I think we kind of mix that and carry that into different perspective. Now, coming from last week, Pastor Benjamin, what would you say is the one thing that we should look at least today? Because I'm looking at the practicality of the things we talked about last week. What's your take?
Okay, good afternoon, Coach Aniekan. Good afternoon, everyone in the house. It's great to be back, and also great to be back on this topic. I think last week I kind of hit on something which I want to go back to. When Jesus Christ was invited by a centurion, right? And the man said to Jesus Christ, I'm a man under authority. In other words, for us to be able to exert authority, we must also know what it means to be submitted to that authority. And, like in Philippians, the Bible tells us that Jesus Christ, though he was equal with God, he did not think it robbery to be equal with God, but he made himself. Now, I always say this. God did not humble Jesus. The Holy Spirit did not humble Jesus. The Bible says he made himself of no reputation. That's what submission is all about. One of my sisters had just pointed about, trying to hit on the issue of submission. And last week I still talked about the difference between submission and obedience. Obedience means you don't have any say in this matter. But submission means you have an equal say, but you are choosing to put yourself under. And I think part of the things that we see practically in marriages is that just like someone also rightly mentioned about, like, if you have a situation where the wife is any more than the husband, and so it means, okay, to what extent do I let him have control over what I'm doing, over my life, over this? But if we look at the subject of submission, now you saw this person and you believe this person loved you enough for you to submit yourself to. And if you have to do this, it has to do with, for me, it's an issue of trust. And I'll give you an example. When let me give a marriage that I know very well, where the wife the husband supported the wife, and then later on in the marriage, she started doing much better than the husband. But also, she has also, like her mom, who had so much influence on her, to the point that she could, it was her job that she was doing that was paying off. It was her money anyway that she earned, but she got a land, in fact, built a house without the knowledge of her husband. And now the question now is, how do I put it to him? So even though eventually she did, and the man felt very, hot and upset by it, it wasn't because he wasn't desirous of his wife's prosperity. But it takes a lot for you to, as far as I'm concerned, run off like a vagabond, like somebody who has no authority over your head, and then you do what you want. If you want to do what you want, then you don't have to come into that marriage. Because coming into marriage means that you are saying, I trust this person to lead me. And I believe also in the power of my prayers for us to work together. That person also is saying that I love this person enough to lay down my life. And in doing so, I also regain a support. You understand? So it's a partnership, and we must understand that until everybody plays their role without anybody having to teach the other person what they should do. God didn't tell me to teach my wife how to submit. My responsibility is just to keep loving her and keep loving her and keep loving her. And her responsibility is also to know what submission is. And sometimes I can take some, like I used to tell my wife, sometimes I can take some decisions, and from her face, and I look at her disposition, I know she considers it very foolish. But you see, sometimes suffer me to be foolish, because if you sabotage the process of a man learning and knowing that, oh, in this area, my wife is stronger, then he can't delegate. And then before you know it, all the justice is insubordination, anarchy, and then before you know it, end result, everybody go down to your tent to Israel. So it is very, very important that we, understand that there is no clash. There's no confusion in the Godhead. There's no confusion in the Godhead. Bible says God will put everything under the, submission, the leadership of Jesus, right? But do you notice something? The Bible also stressed that even though God put everything under his feet, God is not included, isn't it? No. So at the end of the day, even Jesus is submitted to God. So those are the things that we need to understand. And once we know that, I think there'll be less friction. And occasionally, you know, like I choose to believe, if I talk about abuse, it's easy to talk about the women because they say, oh, the women are the weaker sex. But we've also known from experience that some men are also being abused. I mean, they cannot imagine what some men are going through in their marriage. They cannot, but nobody talks about it because a man is supposed to be strong. A man is supposed to be. Sometimes verbal abuse. Oh, you're a useless man can make that man not to rise. Just that same word. But just say, oh, I said something. That's why if a man sees that he cannot even fight the weight of a woman's word, most times we find those men resorting to what they know, which is a physical assault. You understand? But if we just retract and say, you know what is my responsibility? What is my role? That's what I'm talking about Abigail. If she can tell another man that her husband is a fool and still go back to that man and love that man till that man died, that means there's something for us to learn from her. So those are just the balances here and there. With a relationship comes responsibility, and it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Pastor Coach Aniekan, you know, like myself, here in this part of the world that we live in, most of the problem is because when a woman believes that she earns more than her husband, it becomes a problem in the home. It becomes a problem. And before you know it, oh, okay, so you're telling to Israel. And most times, what most women discover late is that when they now choose to say, I prefer not to have a cover, I'll be my own boss, I'll be my own thing, and they stay. The man most times can even go and look for somebody who submitted to him. But for the woman, it is not as easy because it will also, that's one of the realization that the way God put it, to enter into a relationship, you will still need a man to initiate it. And if the man is to initiate it, then it means that you have to, that thing that God has said, submission, work, being a help to somebody, you will still have to go through it. So that's my take on that now.
Well, women, I hope you're not quiet.
Why not?
Women speak up, but like everybody's quiet now. Like
we are
here, we are listening.
We are listening.
We are learning.
Because this is talking about partnership, right? Like Prof rightly said last week, the neck, yes, controls the head. There is no head without a neck. But what are the characteristics of the head? Do you notice that practically most of the five senses are in the head, on the head? The eyes for vision, the nose for perception, the mouth for talking, the ears for hearing. So if you say, oh, it's my head, but I'm the one that must see the vision for this family. Oh, I'm the head, but I know he's the head, but I know my husband, I'm the spokesperson for this family. He doesn't know what to say. I'm the one that knows. Calm down. If you first of all tell yourself there is no competition, it solves 90% of the problem. The remaining 10% is the responsibility of following through what you have embraced. That's what the 10% is all about. Because the Bible, after talking about the virtuous woman in Proverbs 31, notice something there. Bible says, her husband shall praise her at the gate. In other words, the virtuous woman is not the person who praises herself, but the person who the husband commends. It's so important. And I'll keep saying this, there is no competition. Because when God said it was not good that the man should be alone, if you check the dictionary meaning of being alone, to be alone means to be complete, To be alone means to be entire. To be alone means wanting nothing. The man was not lonely. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. You can be lonely. That is a loss of affection, a want of affection. You need something else to complete you. Adam was alone. He was complete. But because God is speaking from a foreknowledge to predestination to salvation, as man, we walk into salvation, into predestination, and into the foreknowledge of God. So there are two different angles. So what God is saying is that the picture I have of this man is a picture. That's why if you look at every time I talk about marriage, it's talking about Christ and the church. So it's not a matter. God didn't see a man that did not need a body. So because he knew it was about Christ and the church, he said, no, Adam, you cannot just be a head, you need a body. And that's why it was from the man, the Bible says, from the man, he took and he made and presented to the man. So you must understand that you are also a part of. You are a part of. And that is what this is all about. Knowing that we are partners together. This is how I put it. When we say we are laboring together, listen, we are laboring together. We are laboring together, and we are laboring to get there. Still the same word, just rephrased. Laboring together, and laboring to get there. So it's a place that we're going into, a destination. But what we're saying is, let us work together. Every man and every woman understanding their roles and everybody playing their part, working together as one, ultimately to fulfill destiny and attain to purpose.
Thank you very much. Now, there's a question that I have on the chat. Carrie says, with relationships comes responsibilities. My question is this: woman has done all, and yet the man is not playing his role and is still abusing. Why would that be? Now, playing his role would have to do with the fact that either he's just watching Man U and Chelsea all day. Now, when you say playing his role, I need to understand that, because I have an example. Let me give you this example. I know of this couple. When they first started out, the wife wasn't doing anything. As you said earlier on, she wasn't working. The agreement was that, okay, listen, why don't you be the person who is the homemaker? And the guy was, when I was worked for a bit, and I think later on he resigned. But it happened that, just like you said, things now began to work well for the wife. And the wife now thought that, okay, this is an opportunity to, as you mentioned, to flex. I have found one thing, and I take this from any time. Whether it is position, whether it is wealth, it's an amplifier. So whether it's the man or the woman who now gets into a position and starts to do certain things, it was there. It just needed something to bring it out.
Right.
I heard something some years ago that kind of baffled me. The man said that there are three kinds of people in the world. Number one, people who will not marry. Number two, people who want to marry but will not marry. Number three, people who would marry but would never be able to keep their relationship. It baffled me for a long time. And then I now came to understand that whether you like it or not, just like going from, say, Nigeria to somewhere like in the US, there has to be a different set of rules that you must be willing to live by and to walk by. I think sometimes we don't understand what it takes to go into, whether it's partnership. Now partnership can be not just marriage, because anything you're partnering with someone about comes in that same format. Once someone else and you are doing something, there is always someone who kind of directs the affairs. I don't know the particular instance that Claudia had mentioned, for instance, but we see that both ways. I have seen it both ways. Now, some men can be confrontational, you see, because one thing with a man, someone said something, a man has a beast inside of him, it's just sleeping. The day you push him to the wall, you can see the beast part of it. I have seen men who became wealthy, that had some things and thought that their women, their wives were second best. These are people that struggled with you through the race. When they came into affluence, they said, no, it wasn't. They wanted another woman who would look the talk and talk the look. I've also seen women do it as well. That's why the principle that I want us to look at, it doesn't have to do with a man or woman. If you look at it critically, everyone has a responsibility. Now, let us look at roles. What is the role of a man? I know Pastor Benji said it last week, but women, please, I'm going to hear you now. What is the role of a man? Go ahead. If you can talk, you can type. Go ahead.
Coach Aniekan,
Yes.
you are the man, Coach Aniekan. Tell us what your role.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
I think
So remember.
you
Nathaniel.
Okay. All right.
What do you understand about
No, hold on. So listen. For you to be able, it doesn't matter what I describe as the role of a man. If it doesn't meet, haven't you noticed that we are very, very, listen, I told someone something, I said that focus creates blindness. If you expect something going into something, that's what you always look at, even if things have changed. And that's what I want to ask the women. If you are, whether you're married or you're a single parent or you're looking to get married, when you think of the man or the man in your life you want to marry, what do you think his role is? I asked that question last week. He's the provider, I like that. He's the protector, he's the prophet. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
He must be respectful. There
Okay.
must be good communication between her and a woman.
Okay,
And
good communication.
There for her. Yeah, there's good communication.
What else?
Be loyal and passionate. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Loyal and passionate.
So loyal, passionate, I see provider, I see protector. That we what? Someone that we what?
Lead me to God and not take me away from you.
All right, so lead you to God. Okay, what else? What else, please?
A lover too.
Is a lover. Lover. Okay, I like that. What else? What else?
Caring. A caring family.
Wonderful. Awesome. What else? He should be in charge. Okay. What do you mean in charge?
He's also the decision maker of the house.
Okay, I like where you're going with this. Now, so let me ask you. When you start to earn more than he does, how does this role play? The provider, the protector, yes, the prophet, yes, but how does that role play? Don't you start to see vision more? Yes, please go ahead. I said, we're looking at this. He's the provider, he's the protector, he's the prophet, he takes charge, he's caring, he's loving. Now, can I ask a question? Is it because he's earning more than the woman? Yes or no?
Okay, for me, coach, sorry if I'm cutting it. I don't I see man as sole provider. When it comes to children, you bring the children, it takes two to tango. You have the children together. I see some of us women, I'm not saying all, please, that feels that a man should pay the fees. When it comes to fees, it is the man's money is our money. And when it comes to women's money, it's always my money. I'm not wired like that. I don't like that. I don't even, because when I do, you have the confidence to say, okay, you are bringing, even the man is bringing 80 and you are putting 20. it still goes a long way. You are part of family. It's not the man that has a child alone. He has your good. Thank God there are no children among them. He had the semen you gave me, you brought a child. So he gave you something, you produce something. So you both have to take up that responsibilities.
Okay, Coach Natalia, I see your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So I beg to differ from this angle. Okay. I don't know, I may be wrong, but I feel there's a generalization. I think each person should be taken on different level. So Mr. A is not Mr. B, and Mr. B is not C. So it all depends. I've seen women who have who earn more than their husband, and they're extremely humble, and you wouldn't even know about it. It's not every woman who begins to earn more than her husband that suddenly changes character. Of course, there are women like that, but it's not all women. There are some men, and I met a woman, no one knew that she's been one carrying the family. She projects the children. I mean, the children never knew that all the school fees that was being paid by their mother and not their father. She never, that's the way she packages it. The children never knew until one day something came up and they found out that all the years that they were all in school till they finished, it was their mom and not their father. But she never made them know. And when they found out, it actually came from their father and not their mother. In the same way, there are men who, when they begin to earn money, begin to progress and prosper, remember, like Coach Aniekan said, this one is not my class, I need to get a taste. But it's not all men that do that. There are men that stay with women who struggled with them, and they make sure that they can benefit because she's not. So some men suddenly, when they begin to have money or feel they have arrived, they change character. So I think it should be taken on case-to-case basis and not a general thing. Because, I don't know, maybe because of the different kinds of people I've met, really. So we all know where our shortcomings are. And so we need to adjust in that. So everybody, and that's why you can't make any comparison. Like the woman who's trying to compare her husband with another person, say, this person did this for this person. You don't know what goes on there. You don't know what the woman sees in the home or what the man sees in the home. And they all come out and they are all laughing and all that. The same way some men try to subdue some women and control them to the point of it looking like a master-servant relationship. The same way too, we have women who did the same to some men. I remember Coach Aniekan sharing a story of a man who practically ran away from home. And like, what happened? Oh yeah, Sani, he ran away from home because he wanted peace of mind. The wife was like the man in the house. And he said, I'd rather have my peace of mind than continue here. So it all depends on individual. That's how I want to see it. I don't want to make a general, application to that. It's be taken on different levels, like each case as they come. That's how I see it.
I support Natalia's position about not generalizing, because it's a much more respectful way to handle this kind of discussions, because people vary. Granted, the fundamental, as I posted a few minutes ago in there are some basic things that we are expected to do as men and as women. Now, our personalities and characteristics and our upbringing and the society that we're in also starts to play its own part in how we are, which is why for those of us who profess to being Christians, we have a baseline that we can go back to as a foundational place to start from. But unfortunately, in the real world, not everybody is a Christian. And so there are other factors that impact the way people interact in relationships. Now, in the West where I am, we have an average of 50-something to 50% marriage failure rates here. Within the Black community, we have about 71% marriage failure rate. And most of those things, especially when we talk about Blacks, most of those things come from the fact that feminism and all those isms are getting into the so-called progressivism is getting into the way we do things. Here in the US, the rate of failure within the Nigerian community for their divorces is actually higher than 70%, which is pathetic. Why do we have these problems? Because of some to do with the men, some to do with the women. But a big thing that I would advise any woman to always remember is that there is a specific duty or role that you are assigned to take. Submit to your husband. I know some men are animals, God forgive me, and they can be abusive and all the what have you. But we don't know that until we do our part. We as men, God said we should love the wife. Love. If you love your wife as the Bible indicates, you will do everything to make her happy. She will have no reason to feel that she's even submitting to you, because you will elevate her to being the position that she's the queen of your household, the person, the mother of your children, the goddess. I mean, the way you treat her, she won't even remember that she's submitting to you. If you love her as the Bible says we should love our women. But many times we don't, because again, we let the human factor or the society affect us. Nigeria is a patriarchal society. We're raised in Nigeria to think that the men are the big shots, we are the charge and so on. Unfortunately, a man who is not confident in himself enough to understand that just because you have a patriarchal society does not mean you should abuse the woman, will abuse the woman. I can't forget, as a kid, growing up with a next door neighbor who would come home drunk and beat his wife. He was a teacher of our high school. Aniekan, I'm going to keep the name.
Okay.
But he was a neighbor.
I don't.
This man will come home at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, drunken, line up his whole family at that time to be marching around the roundabout in front of our house with a horsewhip. Is that a man? That's not representative of men. Just as there are women who also, yes, they become wealthy and successful and they can be abusive as well. There are men suffering from emotional abuse. We're raised in a society where we're told that as men, we're not supposed to cry. We're supposed to hold that. You're not supposed to show emotions. Men are breaking down. Well, somebody asked the question, why are men dying easily? It's because we keep things bottled up in ourselves. We're putting up the air of being strong. Here is one of the biggest lies I was ever told. Men are the stronger sex. That's a lie. We can be physically able to carry things around the place. Women are stronger than we are. Do you know what a woman can handle emotionally? Most of us men cannot handle a woman having an affair on us. The world will come crashing around us. But women will tolerate all sorts of rubbish we do. You go out and sleep with Madam Lagbaja 2 streets away. And she hear about it, she forgive you, she welcome you back, and she'll give you another chance. Men can't do it. The strength of a woman is why God says that they should submit to men. God knows what he has created them, the power that women have. But men, we just have a simple instruction: love these women with all our heart as Christ loved the church. Simple instruction: love them, respect them.
Giselle, go ahead. I see your hand is up. Please go ahead and unmute yourself. Let me hear your voice.
Thank you, Coach Natalia, and thank you, my brother and Pastor. Oh, wow. Everything that they share is true, but also I can say I have seen a lot of divorce in the church, more than even the secular world. And I always said, I have seen Christian women, I have seen women that they are not born again, who has good families, men as well. They are not born again, but they have a good moral. You know, what Christian we think, being a Christian, we have this good moral, but I have found wickedness of the wicked inside the church is where we have women who do not respect their husband. You can see even through the testimony, she will be the first person to take the microphone to speak before the men. Those type of women, when I look at them, I don't blame them. I blame them, but I know they were not educated, because I was educated in my mother's house. My mom trained us as women. We are 4 siblings. And all my siblings, my sisters, our mom prepared us how to be good wives, how to be good women. They give us that training, even though we were going to school, but that was our mother focus, to know how to respect a man. When I see a woman does not respect his husband, I know automatically that she was not well educated in their parent house. In this Western world we are living, we do understand that sometimes we educate our children, they grow up because we are raising somebody else's husband, we are raising somebody else's wife. Some of the girls, the children, they can be rebellious, like they were not educated, but they were educated by their parents. Is an exception. Also, another thing is also the culture. You can look in Africa, we have similar culture, but we have also different culture as well. I can say that because we have some of the culture when the man is talking, the woman cannot open his mouth to speak. But I have lived maybe 20 years plus with Nigerian, which I consider myself like part of it. My sisters, they have something, they have their quality, they think they have this manhood inside of them, which is something that I always find is wrong, that you can't be on top of a man, especially you want to show all the time that, when we are especially in public, there is people around, you want to speak ahead before the man. When we talk about somebody is changed because he's making more than the husband, I don't think the money is the reason. Because the money cannot change the person. I remember not having too much and having too much, I never changed. I was still the same woman. Towards the people that I know they are men, my husband, my siblings, my brothers. So when we have a woman, he said because they have the money, how the money can change your role, how the money can give you more power to disrespect your husband. Or I don't understand that. I cannot explain it. It's just as we said before, it's just that these things was inside of the person. The money just amplify the character. Just same as men as well. We can see back home in Africa how we have men, as soon as they get rich, now they have 3 women, they have 4, and you as a woman, you have nothing to say. Because first of all, what they have done is to keep you in the house, start cleaning the house, cook for them, and you can't do anything. So I think one of the things I've learned, for one of my bishops said, if you want to know a man, you can't learn a man from your mom. You have to learn a man from your dad. Your dad has to show you who the man is. So many of us, as my brother said, in the Western world, 71% of our community, their divorce rate is 71%. Why? Because we want to be like Western people, and we are going to work, we are earning money, so they are earning money, or we feel like, what are they going to show us, or show me? I can make the money you are making. So that's things. The environment also changed people, influenced people. So Christianity help us, yes, but those things are just moral values that even the people in the world, they do have it. Respect is not only being Christian to have respect for your husband. Even the people, Gentiles, they do respect their husband. I am in management level at my work. I can see my seniors, they have higher position, women, but you can see when the husband come to the office just to bring them even a coffee, how they respect their husband, how they show the love. It's true, some they can fake it, but it doesn't mean that in their house, they don't respect their husband because they have those higher position. I think it's just a matter of education. And also the rate of divorce today in our Western world among us, most of it, I have followed the statistic, it's about money. People, they want to buy big houses, they don't have the money to pay for it. And when they don't have enough money, now it became pointing, oh, you are the one you said for us to buy this house. The other one, they want to buy the car that they cannot afford because they want to show up. So they want to impress people outside. And those things start coming back to them, you know, chasing them, destroying their home, taking their peace and joy. Why? Because they didn't live according to what they can afford. They want to go to show people the life that they don't have. And he has created, even here in Canada, he has created a lot of divorce. Why? Because when you go to court, ask, the reason of divorce is money. Not because the woman has the money, because of lack of financial management. That is the only problem. Thank you so much. I talk too much.
Lisa, thank you very much. Now, you seem to have spoken to women a lot. And so let me say this. Everyone becomes responsible for his or her action. I would never be held responsible for my spouse's action. I would be held responsible for my action. I'll give an example. If I walked up to you and I was upset with you and I slapped you, and you got pissed that I slapped you, picked up a chair and slammed my head, and they called 911 and they took me and they had to give me like 16 stitches. It's easy to say, because he slapped me, that's why I did what I did. But listen, at the end of the day, you remember that word, we'll give account of what we did. You give account of what you did. You can't give account of what someone else did. So it doesn't matter whether my wife is submissive to me, I will love her. It doesn't matter whether your husband is loving you, you will submit to him. Because when you will be asked at the end of the day, you're going to have to give account of what you did. And if you think that you would say, because he did, because that person cheated me. I was telling someone today, I can't remember who, that if they say two wrongs don't make it right. If someone stole from me and I said, you think you can steal? He really stole $1,000 from me. And I said, okay, I stole $10,000 from him. I've done two things. Knowing it is wrong, I have obeyed that rule, number one. And then my punishment is now twice because I knew. Stick, that's the key thing. That's the takeaway. That's what I want to do, the takeaway. Stick with what you should do. And whether your spouse is doing that or your partner is doing that or not, stick to what you should do. It's the only thing you will give account of. And if you do it faithfully. I walked into a store 2 days ago to buy this earpiece. And I asked the lady that was there, I said, does she ever think she would own a store like this? She said, yes. I said, okay. The rule is to be faithful with someone else. This one that you're holding, if you're faithful with this to the core, you will be entitled to have yours. So it doesn't matter what the whole world is doing. It doesn't matter what statistics are saying. What you're doing, wherever you are, is what you will be asked to give account. So do a quick check, do a quick evaluation, and ask yourself, what am I doing because someone did this? What am I doing because someone said this? Someone said that I would, and then I need to take action like that. You need to find out so that you can do the things that so that at the end, listen, when I go to sleep, I sleep well. because I live a day at a time. I have goals for the next 5, 10 years, but I live one day at a time. I said to someone, I said, you need to keep your eye on the gauge, joy and peace. Once those two things are going down in me, I quickly do a check. What's happening? Maybe I'm thinking about something that should have happened or did not happen or had happened. I put myself in check. So whether you are a being in a female body or you are a being in a male body, understand that the only reason that you have the kind of skin or the body that you carry is because the one that created you knows it's the only way you can fulfill your life. Your life can be fulfilled. You can live to the fullness of your potential. I look at what women do. I can't, listen, I can't. That's why I never ever, I have something, maybe a soft spot, but I have something that when it comes to women, I like to support them. Because suppose I'm not threatened by strong women, I don't give a hoot. I know myself. I'm confident in me. It doesn't matter what you make or don't make or what you have or don't have. I don't move. I've learned contentment as a person. I don't listen. I remember when we first went to Canada, when we first landed, my good friend gave us, there was a room that he said we should stay in. Folks, I never came out from that room to go to his TV and turn it on and sit down. No, it wasn't. Everything I did was in that room that he gave until we went to our apartment, bought our house. But sometimes I think we don't understand what contentment means as people, and therefore we'll be extending ourselves. We try to be like the Joneses. Listen, there are times, there are seasons, we are in phases, we are in stages. You need to understand what stage you are in. And say, you know what, I have a goal for next 4 years, next 5 years, but I'm going to be, listen, I'm going to live in the moment. So it doesn't matter. I said something, I said that, listen, life is principle-based. If you go up a 2-story building and jump, it doesn't matter whether you're the prime minister, you're the president-elect, you're the vice president, it doesn't matter, you'll fall and you break your leg. It's a principle. So if you key into that principle, it will work for you. I don't think that the one who created the principle God wants is against anyone. But the way that we apply the principle will tell where this goes for us, what this becomes for us, where we go from here. And it is critical that we understand that. So whether you are a man, as I said, or a woman, do what you should do. Do what you love doing. Walk in the confine of the grace that you have. And when you increase, hear me, carry other people along. There are so many things that many of you women know, that there's so many women that don't know half of this. And that's why they're having issues, they're having trouble. So begin to not just to build yourself as a woman, but also start to look out for other women. Because trust me, the pain or the things that you went through, there are other women who are either going to go through them, and going through them, or have gone through them. And I'm going to wrap up with this. We're not here as men to tell you how to live. I'm still trying to figure out how to live. I tell people, listen, I am not your source. It's too big a period to occupy. Years ago, I remember when we write our Christmas, our Christmas wish, because I said to my family, I said, you know what, everybody pull out your paper and write your list. I will go to God. So I took my list to God, because if you ask me, I'm still going to go to him. So I said, let us all go to the source. And trust me, it's removed the pressure of, you didn't buy me this, you bought me this, I was expecting this, you were going to give me this. I came and I was looking at you, and I was winking, that you will give me this, but you didn't give me. I was wondering, do you really love me? I don't think that I'm submitted to you, because all those anchoring would go away. Because roles are now changing. Listen, I have found that when Nigerians come to somewhere like in Canada, their male children are really, really suffering. Here you say the woman should come to the kitchen. You have to know how to take care. So we build the women, our girls, to be the one to take care of the home, and then the men are supposed to be earning. But when they now go to somewhere like in Canada, where averagely, the women is earning twice your money, then it humbles them. Then they feel like a fish out of water. Because if I thought that the only reason that I'm married is so that I can provide, I can be source, and now you're earning more than I do, guess what happens? I kind of, oh, ease off. We don't want no trouble. So you need to understand that it differs for us. Everybody, we all have different DNAs, different fingerprints. Understand the grace that you have so that you can account for what you have effectively. That's the key. It's critical. And that's all that we want to say. That understand this. Go ahead, Coach Nasale. I see you have your hand up. Who has a hand up? Go ahead. Whatever you want to say, go ahead. Oh, Coach Bibi, go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach Aniekan. It's been a long to and fro today, and I think it's been a lovely one, having a lot of things out from me. I just want to chip in this. I've learned a lot. And as the argument was going on, I like to hear arguments like this. I follow each argument. I try to blend with it. But then I hear a superior one. I try to blend with it. I enjoy the feeling of that to and fro because it tells me of the futility of not knowing something. I'm just going along with the crowd. So my opinion is this. A lot of the problems we have, I don't really like bringing God into the problem. I like bringing God into the solutions. Because if you look at it, really, God didn't have the hand in the problems. Every principle of life that was set by God and set in nature were to solve problems. It's the tweaking of those principles, it's the bending, it's the refusal of using those principles that end up bringing problems. Just like we say, LV living, lifestyle, being able to worry less, anxieties, they are totally, directly misgivings from not understanding the principle. And when I heard us talking about generalization and all that, yeah, it's a big word we use around, we throw it around. But if you don't generalize, you must also realize what's going on around you. What happens is what goes on in a particular climate differs from another. But if you want to find the associating factor, you will have to study each climate and then be able to pinpoint one or two things that seems to be across board. But how do you get to all that information? And this is where the problems are. Most people nowadays don't want to learn. We don't want to ask questions by ourselves. We don't want to spend time to find answers. We want to wait for someone to just drop an answer into our path. And guess where we get them? Social media. People who are lesser than you in knowledge will go to the social media and share the absurd solutions. Guess what? That's what's going to catch fire. You call it the rave. You call it it's going viral. Because a lady says life has not treated her well. She left school pure. She left school thinking she's going to do well in life. And then 4 guys broke her heart. And now she's out to break people's heart. So she's getting involved with other married men, other people's husbands, and is ripping them off. You got a car from this one, got a house from this one, got education from this one, got a plane from this one, got a house in America from this one, got a house in London from this one. And she comes online and says, it's payback time, ladies, cash out. And that becomes the rave of the moment. The result is that we see people following this kind of absurd behavior and not knowing why they are doing it. So when you have an argument that says it's the men are not, they are too weak. They can't stand when the woman is spiritual. The woman that is rich says, yes, that's true. I wonder my husband too is having the same kind of inkling. And when you hear the story that it's the women, they are not submissive. The man is giving his life, his blood, and dying young. The men that are going through that same say, yes, it is true. The women are using us. The question is, how much do we individually know about whatever we are in? Is it marriage? Is it partnership? Is it business? Is it our life? Is it health? Is it food? Name it. How much do we really know? Because I mentioned something. He said, if you understand your place, what is our place? The truth is this. The major problem in marriage is value problem. A lot of people have grown from homes, from cultures, from climes where There has been a mix of things. There's a place where the man is the head and the woman is the slave, to the extreme. There's another place where the man is the slave and the woman is the head, to the extreme. So depending on where you move to, and I've heard stories of women who have been quiet in Nigeria, yes, sir, doing what they have to do. And when they get to the UK, boom, everything changes suddenly. And some of them actually from church, their pastor prayed over them, did fasting and prayer for their visa. When they got to the UK, the woman met a few ladies who said, do you mean you still ask permission from your husband to come to a girl's night out? He said, yes, you know, we are Christians. He said, shut up. You are now in the UK, ain't it? And then she gets home and in it. And it's not every time the girl used to suffer. Sometimes the girl enjoys her life for a long time. But value is what tells you that even though today it looks as if you are enjoying what you are doing, you got money, you got alimony, you got him paying for bills and got a house, it's not the essence, because if you have that value, the value directs your objectives. Like what Aniekan taught us. When you find out your purpose, you find out what your calling is like. It's what directs your goals and objectives. So I think some women have the purpose of just making money. And they can make money off the head of any man. Doesn't matter whether it's their husband, any other person's husband, they don't care. Why some men too go out to look for a woman who is their ATM, automated teller machine, who they can just stick in their finger and get money from. And in between them, there are some absurd relationships that just seeing them, you know there's something wrong. A 21-year-old boy married to an 80-year-old woman, you know there's something wrong about it. You just know from the onset. A 70-year-old man marrying a 15-year-old, you know there's a problem about it. But guess what? The family says, leave us. It's our time. Now, in between that, you can't find a solution for that. What you just need to do is to find out what is your own value in life. When you are 90, when you are 100, what would you want to say your life was like? All right. And this cuts across every area. Business, about people I've done business with, you ask them, you wonder, ask them, come, what's really going on? Why are you dealing like this? Is money that important? They say, yeah, money is that important. The money is life. For you, maybe money is not life. So you find it absurd. Let's each try and build our value. What really matters in life for us? Let it be the good things that matter in life. And I believe as we begin to research, begin to learn, begin to, have joy with people and learn the real things that can help achieve that value. Like Coach Aniekan said, you can now begin to look out for people like you going through the same thing or what you have gone through and begin to teach them what you know is really true and not just running from pillar to post, trying to find where it suits you. I've heard some things today that didn't suit me. Yeah, some people have given me jabs, didn't suit me. But guess what? I'm going to think about it over and over. If this jabbed me, maybe the things are right. Maybe I'm the one that's wrong. Some sounded sweet, but maybe they are not good for me either. So I'm still going to go back and think about those ones. Is it just sweet because I feel I'm in that position? What if it changes? Because like I said something just now. What is the shock effect when things turn around? If you don't know your use more than one place. If a man thinks his use is just to provide, then doesn't need to provide again. That's enough, no need for provision. How useless will he think he is? Whereas if he had known other things that he had to play in, maybe provision will not be the only thing. Even if that is taken out, he will still be useful and strong and agile in other areas. So I would advise that we please try to learn. The opportunity like this, let's keep that conversation. Let's ask questions. Let's go and research ourselves. Let's begin to put our ears on the ground and not just judge things, not just generalize it, but begin to check things in our own lives, in our background. How are we evolved as a person? What works for us? What won't work for us? So that end of the day, what we are looking for really is to have peaceful homes. And today's topic from our flag has been that the well-being of the woman. End of the day, both men and women, we are looking for well-being. We're looking for that place where we are able to prosper, we're able to spread. We're looking for a place where we can spread out. Imagine trying to grow a tree in a little jar. What happens? It won't grow. It won't. It's not as if it's going to burst the jar. No, that's a movie when you see Incredible Hulk turning from Dr. David and blowing up. No, a tree won't grow beyond what soil it has. It won't. So we're looking for that well-being where we can really prosper. And I believe that as we try our best, as we begin to learn, both husband and wife, friend and friend, brother and sister. I don't want to say boyfriend and girlfriend because some people's boyfriend, the other man's husband, another woman. So I don't want to be involved in trouble. What I'm saying is, whoever you are into anything with, business, friendship, and all that, as we try and create that thing around ourselves where we can all blossom, we can all have good coming out, then our lives will be better and happier. Men will live longer, women too will live longer. And this issue of abuse and all that will begin to go down as we change generation to generation of generations that are better equipped to handle the pressures of the society. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Now, I want to ask one question before we kind of draw the curtain on this. What is the one thing that you are taking away from the conversation today? Now, if you can't say it, you can't say it out loud because there's a bit of noise where you are, you can type it in the chat. Just one thing that you're going to take away today. Because I tell you, talk is cheap. We can talk now for the next 2 hours, but you've heard a lot, and we have witnessed a lot, we've experienced a lot. What is the one thing that you are taking, whether you are a man or a woman, you're a husband or you're a wife, you are a spouse or you are a partner, whatever you are, what is the one thing that you're taking today?
So for me, Natalia, my takeaway is focus on what God has called you to do and do it. Your doing it should not be hinged on the other person. So whether it's I'm dealing with my spouse, I'm dealing with friends or anything, I should play my part, whether or not the other person is playing their part, because I will give account of what I have done.
Wow. And Kemi also says about the same thing. Kemi says, my takeaway is that I should continue playing my own role, irrespective of what the other person is doing. That's a good principle. Sam, I saw you put up your hand. You want to say something, Sam Olatoye? So if you want to say something, go ahead, please. Okay, I think we kind of lost it. But I want to hear you. So go ahead. Go ahead.
My own takeaway, I have listened to Pastor Ben, I hear you, and I apologize for my other brother. I think it's Dr. something.
Yes, the prof.
Yes.
Professor Reed.
Yes, yes. I hear all of you talking. There is one word in all of your mouth: submission, submission, submission. So I feel that there is one of the secrets that you guys are giving me is submission. So that if the woman is submissive, everything is well with the woman in his house. So I think because there is a repetition of that means it's something that men exalt above everything else. As last week, you guys said, men always fight anything that want to level with them. So I think for me, submission is more important. When I submit, I don't need to ask for love because the love is already there. By me submitting, the love is becoming more and more. That is one of the things I can say really.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So Chire says, I joined late, but as I joined, I heard coach say, do your part, whether the other person responds or not. Karen says, I have responsibilities as a man, should know them and do them. If I've not heard you, whether they comment in the chat or you've said anything, please don't hold back. What's your takeaway? Go ahead.
This is not exactly a take. This is the tip for women. Okay, I'll tell you one little tip to keep in mind. Okay, the man does not need your love. Listen very carefully. A man does not need your love. He needs your respect. Okay, love is secondary to a man. Respect is the ultimate thing you can give a man. And if a man believes you respect him, you have him in your palm, dancing as you want. The mistake women make is that women deserve respect. They deserve respect, but more importantly, they deserve love. And that's why in the Bible, the terminology they used for respect is the whole submission thing. You have to respect the person you're submitting to. And God says, man, love the woman, because he knows that that's what women want. That's what women desire. So rather than using the word submission, that seems like it's kind of like almost like you're giving up on yourself, look at it from the word respect. Respect him. Then he will, if he's a real man, keyword, if he's a real man, he will love you unconditionally, as God has demanded of him. So that's my tip.
Thank you very much. I actually have to write that down. All right, so we're wrapping up. So let me hear, if you have, listen, if you notice that something that Natalia said, there is no one cap fits all. Yeah. So what you would experience and do will be different from someone else. So don't think that mine is not like this person's own, or it's not like person's own. You don't need, just stick with the one what you're doing. So please, as we kind of bring this home, let's keep the chat going. keep the chat going. And I'm sure that we will wrap this up in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, my final word, sorry.
Go
my
ahead.
final word really is taking a cue from what Prof said. With every relation, in every partnership, in every relationship, it is I call them a power twin. It's relationship and responsibility. We cannot overflow it enough. With every relationship comes a corresponding responsibility. It is your dedication to the responsibility that shows your true commitment to the relationship. And it swings both ways. A man needs and deserves to be respected because they put it this way. If you see wedding invitation, you don't hear the word coach, Aniekan, words. No, it's always the woman with the man, and there is a reason, because it is from that place that it shows that you have known enough to say, you know what, I want to bring myself under this person. I want to bring myself to partner with this person. I want to bring myself to come, to work with this person. And to do that, you have to, as far as I'm concerned, even as a praying woman, to know that, let me give this example. Sorry, I'm just digressing to too many things as they come to my mind. Obama, there's this story, I don't know if you heard it. Obama was took Michelle to a restaurant. And while they were in the restaurant, then the owner of the restaurant came, served them very well and everything. So I think from the story, it was Obama, knowing the background of the whole thing, told Michelle, said, if you weren't married to me, you would have been the first lady of the owner of this restaurant. And Michelle just smiled and said, no, if I married him, he would have been the president of the United States of America. So you see, it's everybody knowing their role. I know everybody just laughed about it. But it just makes me also know that, like what Prof said, a good man, a man who truly knows who he is and who takes responsibility for his things, he will know that if he has a true helpmate, it will come to multiply him. And as he provides leadership, everybody becomes better. So it's everybody knowing that in every relationship, there's a responsibility and being dedicated enough to play our part to make a success of our life and ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It seems that we've exceeded time. We have used time well. Now, I want you, as you have noted, I see that you have indicated. So let me read a few responses. I'm sure you've seen them yourself, but it says,
Yes.
and Grace said, I should live a day at a time, feeling fulfilled at the end of each day. Also doing what I love to do, respecting God's command. Sam says, my take today is to love as a man, and respect and submission will come from my wife. Always do what is expected of me. On me is the way of peace. Chinaya says again, I beg to disagree a bit from what the last speaker said. A man deserves to be respected just as the woman deserves to be loved. This is not conditional. A man's role is to love irrespective whether the woman submits or not. Well, interestingly, the woman's role is to submit whether the man loves or not. You have to always strike that balance. So it swings both ways. When I as a man begin to say, you're not submitting, I'm going out of my role. Talk about role, that's not your role. Your role wasn't told to tell your wife, you must submit today, otherwise I'll submit. No, neither was the wife told, you must love me today. That's not how it works. Just zero down on what you are called to do and do that very, very well. Coach Natalia, are you still on the call?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Now, let me mention this quickly. If you're having issues about what we talked about, if you think you're having challenges in that area, I am going to give you my personal email address. You can say, hey, Coach, can we talk? I'm having questions about this. Or I'm also going to put the link. If you're not subscribed to the Wednesday program, is Real Conversation with Coach Aniekan. What I've done there is to take a bit of what is pressure for us. And now pressure is in so many different ways. And I've had Coach Natalia actually assist me there, and she's done an amazing job. How do we deal with stress? How do we deal with depression? It's this Wednesday. I'm going to post the link there as well. Tune in. Coach B said something amazing. He said, listen, you have to learn. You have to get more understanding, not just knowledge. Knowledge is everywhere, I noticed. You have to understand how to apply what you know so that it can help you move from where you are to where you should or would or could or should be. Sometimes we need help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Make sense? Now, for those of you let me do this. For those of you that are in Nigeria, this is my Nigerian number. I'm going to put that in the chat, okay? Because it's, as I said, it's very easy for us to chat, and why some of us still need help. And people have reached out to me who need help. Let's put that in the chat. If you need any help, reach that number. I'm going to give you my Canadian number as well. If you need any question, answer, please don't say I don't have who to help. Don't say that program was really nice, but I didn't have who can help me. It's not the story anymore. Make sense? So I'm going to put both numbers on the chat. If you just copy that and let's talk. Make sense? Get help. And I'll see you on Wednesday. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye and God bless you. Or bye-bye again and God bless you.
Thank you, Coach. Bye-bye. Hi,
Love you.
everyone. Meeting you here.
Have a blessed week. Happy
Thank
New
you,
Month.
Pastor Ben. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.